All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Of course, we are live on both YouTube and Rumble. We will briefly be covering that Amy in Connecticut, Oprah endorsing Fetterman. How many votes do you think that that's going to swing Fetterman's way? When we look at his cringe-ass ad, probably 2 of them. Oprah's vote, and Fetterman will be reminded to vote for himself. That's the likelihood there. Make sure we're live on Rumble. Chat's working. We're not quite live yet. Got some issues. Okay, now we're live. Excellent. All right, we'll get right into the news because we've got quite a bit. And keep in mind, here's an itinerary for the next 4 days. Saturday, of course, weekend, I don't stream. I'm going to take it easy. I'll do my morning videos. I probably won't even get to any editing work. I'm going to be lazy that day and play Fallout. Sunday, much the same. And of course, we won't get much new polling news on those days because, of course, it happens to be the weekend. By the way, I'm being reminded it's Friday, not Thursday. Yes, I think, mistitled the video, actually. Whoops. Oh, shit. Anyway, whatever. So on the weekend, no live streams. I'll do my regular videos, and that's about it. Monday, I may or may not stream because I've got to preserve my voice, make sure everything's fine for the midterms. I've gotten a nice hotel room. But the day after the midterms, I'll be recuperating, I'm sure. I'll be hurting for certain, so I'm just going to sit in the fucking bath and, pamper myself probably. It's going to be a good day. I'm going to put on 80s music, and I'm just going to take like a 3-hour-long bath or something like that. So probably on the day after midterms, I won't live stream. I may not even make any videos. So that'll be the rough itinerary. Of course, Sleazy P. Martini will be co-host. We have 2 of the 4 guests that I've optioned have already decided they will come aboard. I'm waiting on the other 2 to respond. I think they're probably still asleep right now. So there will probably be 4 guests. And yeah, let me, can I actually, on the go, can I change the YouTube title? I'm autistic about this shit. Just a minute, everyone. I accidentally, God damn it, I hate myself sometimes. Yeah, let me, okay. Edit title and description. Today's Friday, dude. I went back in time. Okay. I don't know if it'll show up for anyone else unless they're just joining in. I don't think I can do that on Rumble while I'm live, though. I can try. I can see if I can do this. Let's see. My content, Thursday live. Let's edit. And hopefully to everyone on Rumble, this may, bump me off the stream or something. I don't know. I'm going to try. Your changes have been saved. Let's see. Are we still live there? Yeah, okay. Excellent. Yeah, so now I'm not wrong. I hate being wrong. It's a big problem. I don't think I'll be wrong about the midterm predictions, though. We'll be going through the polls. Don't worry. hey, Sticks, long-time watcher, and I'm bi. I wish you would go back to doing shows without a shirt. Does your wife not let you do this? No, that had to do with my own personal decision-making. It has nothing to do with my wife controlling me or anything like that. And, I mean, I'm glad that you like the shirtlessness or something like that, but, yeah. Ralph J, check out R, neoliberal. A lot of Dem cope posting, lol. Yeah, I see that all over Twitter, constantly. Miku Huntu 4X bot. It's Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Yes, one of the least annoying songs of the last 10 years. Is it actually in the last 10 years? Maybe I'm losing time again. Josh, thoughts on Robert Heinlein's opinion on voting? I don't know anything about Robert Heinlein's opinions on voting. Clumsy Vash. Hi, Smooth Skin. What's with Brazil? I don't know. What happening? Yeah, Smooth Skin. The fuck's your problem? Why are you looking at me like that? Mr. Wonderful, do you have a ballpark starting time for the midterm stream? I need to set my alarm for Oz time. Yes, roughly 8 Eastern. That's roughly when we'll start. Again, I hate time zones. I'm completely deficient when it comes to navigating my schedule. Normally, I rely upon Liz to do a lot of the scheduling things. I'm terrible at that. I will try to start on time. Nameless Wanderer. Hey, Sticks, will you do a video on Discordianism and counterculture? I learned about Discordianism through a graffiti in the men's room. Hail Eris. I think I think I already made a video on that subject. It should be in the occult playlist. If not, I guess I'll have to do one. Fire down below. Hey, Sticks, why are all your live streams taken down from your YouTube channel library when it is still up on Rumble? They're still there. They're not taken down. I see them anyway. Maybe you don't. Send me a screenshot of what you see actually on YouTube. If you can send that to me via Twitter DM, that'd be good. Sticks Texan Hammer, we renamed our state after you. Thanks for speaking up. HD Media UK, is this enough for to be Sticks verified? Also, what's in your opinion of the impact US politics has on the UK, e.g. Boris turning on a dime after Trump left? The US and the UK do have a reciprocal relationship diplomatically. That's very much true. Right now, things are trending in a leftoid direction, though, in the UK. The opposite of the United States. Mr. Jack, hey, Sticks, can you give a shout out to Makiru Media on YouTube? He's a based old school YouTuber that's been shafted by the P-demic. All right, there's a little shout out there. 12, shout out, the coming conflict, geopolitics and money. Thanks, you rule. 2 shout outs in a row. People are paying me to shout out their shit on my live stream. I like this arrangement. 12, the coming conflict on Rumble. Okay, so it's over on Rumble. You can look that up. Now we've got some news. Imran Khan, of course, shot. Pakistani politician. Also, apparently a very good cricketer. He was in sports first, then he, of course, became the leader of Pakistan. He was at a campaign stop of sorts, and he got shot in the leg. And apparently, the person that shot him claimed that that Imran Khan, the reason why he shot him is that Khan was trying to be a prophet. He claimed that he was a prophet, which I don't think that he literally ever did. So it sounds like it was religiously motivated. That was big breaking news yesterday, and I thought about making, I had decided not to live stream. Then I got word that Imran Khan was shot, and I thought about making a live stream just for that and saying, shit, no, that's pretty, you remember when Benazir Bhutto was killed actually in Pakistan many years ago, and there's always a weird connection. Imran Khan is sort of like a little bit like the Indian leadership in trying to straddle the line between West and East. So people are saying, well, this was obviously is because he plays nice with the Chinese and the Russians. And you saw that before with Benazir Bhutto. In her case, people decided that they thought that the CIA had tried to kill her, and she did die in the end because of her statement that Osama bin Laden had died of kidney failure, to her knowledge, some years before. Yeah. Anyway, if you look at Imran Khan's life, there's some crazy shit. Now he's faced an assassination attempt. I guess it gets crazier. Cricketer turned Prime Minister of Pakistan. Very interesting life. You don't necessarily have to agree with all of his views to appreciate the trajectory of his career. Fodoro would love a channel shout out. I flipped the script on Disney characters. Titles include In Defense of Gaston and Mufasa, Bad Father, Worst King. I agree that Gaston did nothing wrong. He was just a lunk, a meathead. But ultimately, he was trying to protect the community now, wasn't he? Meanwhile, Belle, the heroine, so-called, in Beauty and the Beast, really was kind of an airhead that was out of touch and ends up, whining and dining the werewolf-looking dude, the Beast. It was an interesting story. Bara, YouTube changed. Separate button for live streams. Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. I oppose this move. BCL Productions, do you think it would be hard making a conservative, independent filmmaker in a very liberal industry? I am asking because I want to pursue film. You're going to have incredible talent, and you're going to have to do a lot of independent work, like sort of on your own or with your private group, before you can possibly crack through, unless you're working with a religious company. If you want to make Bible films, there's always a niche industry for that. Sparky, watch the Duran for the best geopolitical news and commentary. Well, I like the Duran. I think that my commentary is superior. But then again, I'm biased. I'm sure that the Duran is biased towards the Duran. A Cruel over on Rumble. My employer is requiring people to come back to the office a few days a week. Some people are arguing that they can't do this because they can't afford an EV to remain carbon neutral. Purge. I hope that that's true. Next news story. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or Occasional Cortex, as someone calls her, ridiculed for censorship claim against Elon Musk. AOC wants so much to be a victim. Yeah, she made a video the other day, and she was claiming that as soon as Elon Musk took over, that all of a sudden I couldn't get my Twitter recommendations. Everything was screwed up and all wonky. And obviously Elon Musk individually targeted AOC. This is literally what she's insinuating. Elon Musk has so much time on his hands and is so egotistical and power hungry that he decided to screw with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's, well, it's technically more than an insinuation. It's an outright claim. And I don't think so. I think that Musk also trolled her after this for that. And I find that very funny. AOC has done this before. You remember with Alex Stein there, he calls her a big booty Latina, and she looked like she wanted to go over and deck him. And she turned it into a pity me parade. She does this constantly because she's not really a politician. She is an actress. She literally auditioned for the role of politician in order to, under the Justice Dems, to knock off an old neo-lib incumbent. Good on her. I mean, you did win the race. You're in Congress, whoop-de-doo, even though you won't send any money to your abuela. It's very funny because she drives a Tesla. Yes, you gave Elon Musk 50 grand or probably more than that of your own money. Now you're criticizing him for throttling you on Twitter. Dude, the only throttling on Twitter is all the millions of people who have been banned for spurious reasons throughout its existence because they have differences of opinion with people like you. She is the spoiled brat, the self-entitled moron that we all knew, in high school. She is that particular individual, and it doesn't surprise me. So she's claiming that Elon Musk is trying to censor her. Well, get with the crowd, dude. People like me have been censored now for years on Twitter. I just cracked through 100K in the wake of Elon Musk buying the site, though. So, yeah, that's a fourth site that Clankdom has a six-figure audience on, just to be clear, along with YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. Nameless Wanderer. Hey, again, Sticks, checked your video inventory with Discordianism and nothing came up. Ever read Robert Anton Wilson's novels? Cosmic Trigger is GOAT. I haven't, and I'll make a video, I guess an occult video on Discordianism at some point. The Sanctuary Project. Vickyverse is trying to flag your channel down. Oh, Vickyverse? I don't know who that is. Is that a YouTuber? Let's look it up. Another obsessed stalker of sorts? I don't know. No recent uploads. This person posting it on Twitter. We'll have some. Let's see. Maybe we'll have some live fun here. No, I don't see anything recently posted or anything about me there. If you can get me some information, that would be fun. Anyway, other people, better people have tried. I don't do anything that's actionable under YouTube TOS, but people constantly do flagging raids. Thankfully, I'm at the point where, I'm verified on YouTube. I've got a big enough audience where generally they give me some deference. So, Hismanite, Happy Clank, Kyle Miller, I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. Carrie Lake was talking about that the other day, actually. Miguel Barrera. Do you think Elon collaborating with the ADL for Twitter is going to cause some problems with the platform like it was before? No, I have the feeling, and this is my opinion, I could be entirely wrong, and I'm not part of the Elon worship cult. I don't conceive of him as being a free speech purist like I am. But him having the ADL aboard, to me, looks an awful lot like a goddamn smokescreen. Hey, I talked to the representatives of the ADL, the SPLC, etc., and then I forged on my merry way. He might pay them off. He might make a donation to them, basically a kickback, in order to leave him alone. Many corporations do this. They'll pay Al Sharpton or the SPLC or something. The Sanctuary Project. Mr. Wonderful in the chat works with Vicky. I don't know. Caleb Arbor, do you think the strategy that was used last year in Virginia will be used again by local precincts, specifically holding back reporting of vote totals to screw with the big city fortification? How effective is this potentially? It could be effective. It sort of depends on the margin of victory for whoever wins, I suppose. Beto is a commie. AOC has one tired act, always play a victim. True. Trash Panda. Love seeing Elon Musk go full Tywin Lannister on the leftoids, and now the rain sweep o'er Twitter's halls, with no one there to hear. The XJ. Sticks, what do you think will happen if the Saudis join BRICS? Will this send the US dollar into a tailspin? No, because the US dollar is propped up by naval supremacy mainly. Mr. Wonderful. Vickyverse is so old, barren and bitter her eggs are literally powdered. Yeah, I don't know who the fuck it is. I'm going to need evidence that someone is actually trying to deplatform me right before the midterms, because I don't see anything on either Twitter or on YouTube. So, KFG, Elon Musk is a snake. He contracts with the Pentagon, another chosen power elite like Zuck and the Gates. He's not a free speech savior. The last part I agree with totally. However, I don't know that he's actually a snake in the grass. Much like Zuckerberg wandered off into the wilderness for a while there, but then he did throw the FBI under the bus fairly recently on Joe Rogan. Just to be clear, there are some redeeming qualities with these people. I don't trust billionaires generally, though, as heralds of free speech. Roscoe P. Coltrane, on behalf of Maryland, it's pronounced Maryland. It's Maryland. Thanks in advance. Maryland? Maryland? Beachaz52. I heard Abbott is 13 points ahead of Beto. I'm sure we will see a lot of rage posting from the left after this one. I'm buying an AR-15 to celebrate. Yeah, right now, I think, no, Abbott in the aggregate, I think, has a 9-point lead. Kemp has an 8-point lead. And I favor Kemp, actually, not to be the third tier. And DeSantis has almost a 12-point lead now. Those three races are fundamentally already decided. Next news story. South Korea scrambles fighter jets after detecting 180 North Korean warplanes, military says. Yeah, South Korea scrambled about 80 fighter jets after detecting a large number of North Korean warplanes during 4-hour period Friday, the country's military said, in a further escalation of military regional tensions. In a statement, the South Korean military said it spotted about 180 North Korean military aircraft between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. local time, a day after Pyongyang is believed to have conducted the failed test of an intercontinental ballistic missile. Yeah, can you imagine this happening under Donald Trump? I don't think so. By the way, 180 aircraft, that's fairly significant. That's a significant chunk of all of North Korea's actual potential air power. It might be pretty close to a majority, actually, of the planes that are actually capable of going up in the air. You do realize that they have a bunch of like 1960s era vintage MiGs there that may or may not actually get off the tarmac. In fact, North Korea is really provocating here because it's risky for them to actually put an aircraft up in the first place because they don't generally have the resources to fully maintain them. Yeah, it's not the sort of thing that you got from 2016 through 2020 now, is it? No, it's because the Western world is run by a vegetable right now. The Western world is run by someone who doesn't know what he's doing, and a bunch of, he's a steward, and a bunch of other people are actually calling the shots. And so North Korea is taking advantage of it. What they want, they don't want war, they want concessions. That's what they want. They want the U.S. to go back to the old ways, like under Clinton, Bush, etc., where North Korea would fire off artillery and the U.S. would say, cut it out and lock it down with more sanctions. Then they would say, well, we really want to talk to you. Yeah, we want to be friendly with you, but, you know, you're the great Satan and you keep antagonizing us by existing. And then diplomats go in and they say, okay, we'll remove the sanctions. By the way, here's some money. Here's some uranium. Yeah, we'll free up more. We'll work with China to make sure you get more rice or something. Usually, they're also trying to get bribed by the Chinese because they are a vassal state of China, to be clear. Beijing does control Pyongyang fundamentally. They raise a stink and they test another bomb. They fire off another missile and China tells them to quiet down because it's making trade harder and then sends in a couple of trucks worth of goods. It's a great grift. It works too. I mean, keep in mind, despite extreme insularity, despite the fact that North Korea is run by the most insane regime in the world that's actually a state actor, other than maybe the Venezuelan government, they have managed to keep their economy afloat, generally speaking, to keep at least a couple meals a day in their people's bellies since the goddamn 1950s. They've succeeded longer than any other communistic regime under a puristic form of communism. Well, I guess the grift works. Michael Greco. Have you heard of Catalina Lauf running for U.S. House in Illinois? She's MAGA and probably most attractive person ever in politics. Unfortunately, won't win. Haven't heard of her, no. Probably because she self-admittedly, according to you, won't win. BW, Sticks, don't wear yourself out. Take the weekend off. Horrible thought. Gen Z and millennials never be boomers. Hippies become boomers because they get jobs, homes, families. Most Gen Z don't want kids and can never afford a house. How to get conservative. Gen Z is already less liberal than millennials were. My generation, possibly our generation, is the most left-leaning. Gen Z is a little bit less. Gen Alpha will grow up under a lockdownerism and probably rebel against that. They'll probably become like another Reagan youth or something. That'll be funny. And then Hawaiian shirts will come back and leather jackets for like the 5th fucking time this century. Hunter Wadley, talking about elections. Christ is going to get obliterated on Tuesday. Republican lead in early voting. Wonderful. I hope Lake wins as well. Yeah, Chris loses, to be clear, in Florida. Lake is likely to win, but it's not a certainty. If you are in Arizona, I strongly recommend you actually go vote. Get someone else to do it too. Don't go alone. Joe, Sticks, I love you. I want to give you my seed. Giant jalapeno seeds. Nothing weird. I'll be growing some garden in the future. Baker Boy, here's $5 for a new shirt from Goodwill. You can find some great vintage shit, by the way, in a Goodwill. Viva, what do you think of the new AI models that produce text-to-video results? Meta and Google recently announced their versions. Do you think this will kill some industries? Blackmail? Entertainment? It could be problematic, but it could also be a really great thing, too. Jury's still out. Over on Rumble, Jane Cougar's Sweaty Gun. I'm always late to your stream because Rumble is I don't know if I can use that word on a live stream on YouTube. Is dumb and will not show your live stream on my subscriptions page. My friend always has to send me the link. I didn't know that. Sigil Stone 17. Interesting twitch for Pennsylvania fortification. PA Supreme Court has ruled mail-in ballots not properly filled out will be chucked in the trash. We'll see if they actually abide by that legally binding decision or ignore it like they have consistently. Not a banned account. Will midterms need extra days for more ballots? Yeah, in some states. In Pennsylvania, it could take weeks to know the results of the Senate race. You'll probably know the gubernatorial race same night. Like I said yesterday, isn't it very interesting in a first world country? Some states get their results in and call the victor within 12 hours, and others it takes a week or two. Silky Johnson, do you think states should have laws so ballots are counted by a deadline so it isn't taking weeks like in the safest election in the history of time? See, there's the problem. Let's say you set a deadline, but you really do have a logistic issue. You are preventing people who did legitimately vote from having their votes counted. I believe that it should be only in person, same day, paper ballot, counted by hand. It's been used for hundreds of years. It does work. It is possible for the Pennsylvania government to set this up. There should be no early voting or very limited. Mail-in ballots should require signature, witnesses, etc., and should only be given out to people as necessity requires. Active duty soldiers deployed overseas, diplomats, somebody who is incapacitated for some reason. Otherwise, you vote in person. That's all. Show an ID, get your vote. I do believe that the left is correct, though, in saying that Election Day should be a national holiday. To be clear, they're correct on that. Not a banned account. Why is Puerto Rican statehood stalled in Congress? Because the Republicans are holding it up because they're worried that those natural-born Democrats down there will be able to have electoral votes. I would point out, Puerto Ricans are already Americans. It's already our fucking territory. Just admit them as a state and get it over with. Yeah, okay, they get a couple of extra senators potentially. Woo, yeah. Hold up 4.5 million people's lives instead, while giving them billions of dollars in free aid because they're not a full state. Misael Fraga, go Stros. I have no clue what that refers to. Zim the Despot, I'm going to be glad when elections are over because I'm tired of the election ads in the mail. I already know who I'm voting for. Brad Little for Idaho. The Grizzly, what do you think happens to the Dems in 24 if Biden is forced to resign? Wouldn't be good, but then if he runs in 24, it's even worse. Who do you think is more likely to run, and would that hurt them in the general against Trump, which is the most likely for GOP? I think they might try to swing Buttigieg. That's a possibility. While they may be crazy for doing so, Kamala is technically the head of the short list in the absence of Biden. It's a possibility. Newsom clearly wants to run. We'll see whether he can gain any traction outside of deep blue states. Gillibrand will probably run again, Klobuchar, and a few others. Elizabeth Warren might make one last, track around the bend. I'd say the most likely, if you wanted a viable candidacy, you'd get Buttigieg and you have Gillibrand as VP, honestly. She is Me Too proof, not only for being a woman, but having thrown, what's his name there, fucking Franken under the bus, actually, after his own Me Too scandal. Buttigieg is not well liked, though, by the far left, and he comes off as Dracula-esque. He's not the most charismatic personality. Somehow he's better than most of the field. Next news story. Biden ridiculed for despicable speech on threat to democracy. This is what delusion looks like. Yes, if you saw Biden's closing arguments, this is basically his final speech prior to the midterms. Weekend, nobody gives a shit. Monday, it's too late to impact anything, so he decided to give it yesterday. Biden is effectively insinuating, and others of both parties, by the way, have done this before, that if you vote the wrong way, democracy will come crashing down. The United States will cease to exist. Women will be barefoot and in the kitchen. Gay people will be persecuted and lynched. Black people will be re-enslaved, etc., etc. But this was said by previous presidents as well. I've seen some graphics actually shared out on Twitter pointing this out. And then they show like Obama and Clinton, some of the others, they've said similar things. I would point out that actually it was also said by Donald Trump, George W., Ronald Reagan, Herbert Walker. I think you have to go back to Jimmy Carter to find a president who didn't say something akin to democracy is on the ballot. The fact that is that it's not. The ballot is the democracy in our democratic republic. There is no risk of fascism taking over if the Republicans win. They're not going to destroy abortion nationwide because it's a states' rights issue now. They're not going to put you in the kitchen. It's not Handmaid's Tale. They're not going to rip apart gay marriage. It's not that most of these things aren't politically feasible. Even those that are, as far as the support base, aren't legal. It's just not going to happen. If the GOP veers off, by the way, into idpol la la land and focuses on homosexuals and abortion and stuff, as opposing to do what we're hiring them for, which is to fucking fix the economy or at least block Biden's agenda, to look at the border, big tech censorship, some of these other issues, to try to do something to tackle crime. If they deviate from that and don't use their powers of negotiation, having definitely taken the House and very likely taken the Senate, to try to hold that over Biden's head, they'll get crushed in 24 down ballot. You might see a Republican president, but you might see a defanged MAGA majority on the House. Also, if that happens, it'll come from the neocons. MAGA will campaign on it. They'll say, well, yeah, the last vestige, the remnant of the party is corrupt. We told you this. Kick them out, and they'll primary them. This could actually be a really great time for the United States. It could be the start of an entirely new political paradigm after a fairly short previous one. G. Phaser, did I hear you have ADHD in a previous stream? How do you cope with it? Trying to deal with it myself without reverting back to Adderall prescription. I try to just bounce from one thing to another as frequently as possible and break up my day into segments so that I don't get bored with things. The Southern V, let's go Astros, putting Houston on the map, baby. Yeah, I don't pay attention to sports ball. Jack Perry, Nate Silver has 60% state-level election deniers. Was helpful. You had to get through it. Never knew reading good news would hurt your head. Lefty Cope. Yeah, Nate Silver has carefully adjusted his expectations lately over the last few weeks. All of a sudden, the Republicans are slated to probably gain the Senate. He has a 55% chance on that at the moment. Not a banned account. Since Republicans took abortion, is suffrage next? Yeah, they are going to end women's suffrage. I've actually heard that claim made by, supposedly serious individuals. Stephen 13. Why do people still vote Democrat? Antifa is the Democrat paramilitary. Do the people like Antifa or do they not know? Millions of people are stuck. Well, I mean, the Democrats, they talk a big game about giving them handouts, and they always cast the Republicans off as massively evil, tyrannical, they're racist, sexist, homophobic, etc. So, if you're black and gay or something like that, and you're living in the city, the only thing you've ever heard about the Republicans is they're a bunch of suspender snappers that want to put you back on a plantation or something. Meanwhile, the Democrats literally have you on an ideological plantation, just to be clear. Mr. Wonderful, what are your thoughts on Ross Perot? He was a real G. Yeah, he seems like a cool dude. Oh no, he cockblocked Herbert Walker and then Clinton was president. Who cares? Again, no choice, whatever the fuck year it was, 92 or something like that. I remember the first political thing I actually remember was that I predicted that Bill Clinton would win that election. I remember, I recall my dad asked me who I was a little kid at the time, who I wanted to win between the two. And I said Bill Clinton, probably because he was just younger. He was better spoken at the time. And I was right. Viva, if Republicans win enough seats to impeach Biden, do you think it's worthwhile pursuing such a thing? Yeah, of course. You can't remove him from office. You won't have enough Senate seats for a supermajority, but you can impeach him. And they should do so on multiple counts. Next news story, we've got Cringe Central. Oh, wait, I think there's a rumble rant. Sigil Stone 17. So if Blake Masters and somehow Mastriano I don't believe will win. After the GOP pulled out, do you think the Republicans will take McConnell behind the woodshed? And I can't say the last part of that on a YouTube stream. Yes, they will. They will cripple McConnell. There are already rumblings that they want him to step aside. They may or may not have the support. Blake Masters has a feasible path to victory. Mastriano at this point, unless there's real goddamn huge polling swing, like double digits, I think is out for the count. We'll see. Caleb Arbor. The crosstabs in the polls, having Mastriano down by 12, have Mastriano leading Indies by 10. What's going on? Partisan politics are going on, of course. Michael Cricklow, surprised you're so flippant about Republicans' concerns about Puerto Rican statehood. You think if it benefited Repubs, the Dems would be cool with it? No. No, but it benefits Americans, and as an American, I support Puerto Rican statehood. I run up against like the alt-right kinds on this one. They're like, well, you know, these people down there, they're by and large, they're Hispanic and shit. Oh my God. And I point out to them, they are already American citizens. They already have the ability to go to any state they want, do whatever they want. They're just living in a territory. Same with Guam. Same with the U.S. Virgin Islands. Same with U.S. American Samoa. Just admitted as a state. Of those four, it's the only one that's feasible as a state. It's about the same size and population as Connecticut is. It doesn't matter what politics they have. They have the right to petition for statehood. I would rather go by that metric than tear everything up to prevent some Democrats from being in the population. Who gives a shit? They're not your mama's Democrats anyway. You do realize that Hispanic Democrats that are now a shrinking group of people have different opinions about numerous economic and social issues from the mainline party. We're already seeing that heralded in the polls. At some point, the Republicans might be the ones begging to admit them, and the Democrats will hold out. That'll be the day. The Grizzly. Do you think the neocons will be successful in stymieing the MAGA candidates, or will they fold to most MAGA demands in fear of losing their political power? Do you think we could get people to swing from neocons to MAGA? A lot of them, like Rubio, have already swung away from neoconservatism, at least in name, because they want to be reelected. When he wins against Val Demings, keep in mind it'll be because he courted the MAGA vote and didn't openly exacerbate his problematic scenario with them. Ted Cruz, same thing. Technically, fucking Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott is not MAGA, but he's leading by a significant margin because he's not willing to confront them. Yes, I think that MAGA demands will carry the day. Salty Ironworker, thanks for the 50, man. Any chance we can get a peek at the guest list on Election Day stream? I'm looking forward to your stream. I'm sure it will be epic. Do you think we'll be clanking other live streams? Absolutely love that, by the way. Long live the clank. We will probably be clanking other live streams. Don't worry about that. I will, once I hear back from the other two individuals that I talked to, and Sleazy had a potential guest aboard that he, I think, talked to. Once I hear back about that, you will get that list. Yeah, I'll put out a list of the guests that we have. Several are return guests. Deutsch Chad, do you think the left can pull off a steal in the midterms? Any dirty tricks they can do to change the outcome? Is it even possible at this point? No, the perfect 2020 election will be replicated with less fortification. Pennsylvania aside, and possibly areas of Arizona. Liberty Swine, 500. I don't know what you mean, but that's cool, dude. William Kilroy Jr. tried to send before, but never live when I want to send. Congrats on your daughter. Children are what it's all about. If you're ever back in Texas, Houston, Katie, I'll treat you to a Tex-Mex. Yeah, Tex-Mex sounds good. Next news story, we have the most bizarre political ad, I think, of the cycle. It's by Fetterman, and it actually has, it's based off of an older ad from 1979 for Coca-Cola, where they had a football player, Mean Joe Green, I think it was. And it's very famous. It's one of the top ads of all human history. And it was called Hey Kid Catch. And the idea is that Mean Joe Green's got an injury. He's limping back to the locker room. The kid's like, wow, you're Joe Green, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, you want a drink? And he hands him a Coca-Cola, and then Joe Green chugs it down and then throws his jersey to the kid. And the kid's like, wow, the star power. I don't know how many tens of millions of extra dollars Coca-Cola made selling Coca-Cola after making this ad, but I imagine that it was high up there. They definitely got a good return on investment. So now Fetterman decided to replicate this. And other than the very ending, which I will admit is funny at the end, because trying to explain what jagoff means to the kid, and he's like, oh, I'll tell you when you're older. Okay, that part admittedly is funny. It's a ripoff of a famous ad. And at the 11th hour, when you do stuff like this that could be conceived of as pretty cringy, that's not usually a good indicator of where your campaign is going. I think Fetterman's looking at a situation where a 2 or 3 point polling swing towards Republicans in the final results that we're beginning to see in multiple states in the early voting results will doom him. He will lose to Mehmet Oz. I realize that there is honkening potential in Pennsylvania, as opposed to most states that either weren't fortified or defortified over the last couple of years. He's going to be worried, though. You don't throw a Hail Mary like this. You know that the ad's going to go viral. You know that people will spread it around because it's cringe. They either like the ad and they spread it around because they like it, or they spread it because it's cringe and they're mocking you. You don't do that in a 50-50 race unless you're worried about losing, in my opinion. I think that this is effectively a tacit revelation of his concern that he will lose the race against Mehmet Oz. Ozzy's robots. If Biden's impeached, why wouldn't 10 plus Dems join in to remove him from office and usher in the Kamala regime, making her the incumbent in 24? There is the possibility that you could get a few Democrats voting in favor of impeaching him. They would use the 25th Amendment sort of excuse and say, well, you know, he's not, I like him. I like Joe Biden. I like his views. Don't worry about that. But he's not mentally competent. We need to have him forced out. They will try to get him to resign, though, before they do anything like that. And the GOP will be cutting them off at the pass by doing impeachment on day one, probably. Jack Perry, Razor Fist, please, your clone, just to settle bet. I will neither confirm nor deny Razor Fist as a potential guest for the midterms. Logan Culver, big fan of you and Timcast. When are you going to the Beanie compound? Probably some point soon. He's got to be able to be back in the United States first. He doesn't do Zoom calls and stuff. It's all in person. Eric Willison, have you tested your election night setup at the hotel's Wi-Fi? No, I have not yet, but I will get the chance to do so. I may do a little test stream or something, but the Wi-Fi, the internet in the Netherlands tends to be top-notch, so I'm not too worried about that. Next news story, Liz Cheney's endorsement is the political kiss of death. Yes, Liz Cheney has endorsed a bunch of politicians, and it's entirely possible that they will all lose. She is wading into 50-50 races, and I think her idea is whether they win or not with her endorsement. If they win, she is owed a political favor. She can say, hey, remember the time that I endorsed you? And she can do that like Eeyore face that she always does, and it's hilarious. I would not vote for J.D. Vance, she said, talking about the Republican venture capitalist vying for the vacant Senate seat left open by Senator Rob Portland, in Ohio, of course, who chose not to seek a third term. Cheney said she would instead vote for Cleveland area Rep. Tim Ryan, the Democrat running in the bitter toss-up race if she lived in the state. Who's going to switch their votes because Liz Cheney endorses somebody? If anything, it's going to convince leftoid Democrats about the existence of the uniparty that does exist, and maybe they stay home. Ah, shit, Liz Cheney, you know, the daughter of Dick Cheney himself, just to be clear about who we're dealing with, endorsed Tim Ryan. Yeah, I was going to come out and vote for him, but maybe I'll just get pizza and I'll just watch the results on a live stream. Maybe it'll be my live stream. You're making a good decision, by the way, if you're a leftoid and you're doing that. Excellent. Stephen 13, I know you don't like the NFL, but the Cowboys are non-woke and their owner, Jerry Jones, donated to Abbott in Texas. I remember back in the mid-90s, didn't they win like 3 Super Bowls? I remember it was all Cowboys all the time, and then for a while, and then the Patriots had their run, the most legendary run in the NFL, pissing everyone off because for some reason everyone fucking hates them. Now they're a shell of their former self. The Super Bowl is the only thing that I give a shit about within sports, and then only so I can go onto the sports page on 4chan and troll people. I'll like say really hyperbolic shit and spit out random facts that I happen to know about like a player or something just to sound knowledgeable. And then I'll just like say weird off the wall shit that makes no sense whatsoever. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to win the Super Bowl next year. Malone there, he has a good run, and stuff like that. Laura Fabens, I need you to pause a sec while I get coffee in my Styx branded travel mug. So fun to see you live for once. Yeah, I'm going a little late today. Jack Perry, because you're the same person. I guess I lost $20. Fair Frozen 55, Jones Act 1917, signed into law by Woodrow Wilson. All born in Puerto Rico from 1899 onward are given American citizenship. U.S. took ownership in 1900 with the Foraker Act, which established the government. Yeah, I mean, they're already Americans. So admitting them as a state, what the fuck? Why should several million Americans not have a political voice? It's not like D.C., which literally cannot become a state because, you have a district that's separate from state power. It is a potential state. It's viable. Imagine if it were a full-on state. So the colonial question's off, the table. Don't you think that investors would move in and build a shit ton of goddamn oceanfront property in Puerto Rico? I'd want to get in on that shit. I'd rather have a home up in the hills, though, with, banyan trees and shit like that. I want to see Puerto Rico someday. Mr. Wonderful, 3 reasons why Puerto Rico shouldn't be a state. 1 is A, 2nd is O, and lastly is C. She's too busy being in D.C. ignoring her Puerto Rican abuela. The 666 o'clock news. Just because you don't know what I'm talking about doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm talking about. True. Salty Ironworker, I realize you and Salty Cracker do things a little differently on how you get your messages out as well as Razor Fist, but I truly believe if all 3 of you were on a live stream together, you'd break the internet. Yeah, that would be too much power probably for one goddamn live stream. We'll have to do that someday. Sparky, I think the establishment has realized Kamala is not controllable enough, so they're avoiding turning the reins over to her. Possible. She does seem like one of those mean girls. She definitely exercises a little bit of discretion over Joe. Stephen 13, Cowboys versus Patriots, most American Super Bowl. Most American Super Bowl would be the one where everybody dies because a gunman goes in. Sigil Stone 17. Fetterman must be desperate with the celebrities the Dems have been pulling out of their butthole. They've whipped out Snooki, Paul Rudd, and now goddamn Oprah. Yeah, Oprah. Everyone cares about her endorsement too. Next news story. I'll keep this one a little bit simplistic and this is from the WAPO. So they're casting it off as though this is a terrible idea. Rand Paul, a fierce critic of the U.S. pandemic response, is in line to chair the Senate Health Panel if the GOP wins control. Please vote for the Republican Party for Senate positions if they are remotely competitive. If Rand Paul becomes the head of the Senate Health Panel, all hell breaks loose because he's going to tear Fauci a new asshole. That's number one. He's actually a physician, so, you'll have someone qualified chairing the panel. That's a change. Normally, like the person who was never in the military is the head of the defense panel. The person who, their idea of medicine is paracetamol is the person who runs the fucking health panel. I wonder why the Senate has problems. Rand Paul is actually qualified. He's been a physician for decades. He's done thousands of eye surgeries. He's not even just a regular MD. He's a specialist. He knows full well what he's talking about with regards to health and medical issues. It would be a great choice. Giving him that position would be wonderful. You don't even have to fucking like him to appreciate. I think he's the only person in the Senate that has a medical degree, or one of only a few. I don't think there's anyone in the House either. Rand Paul is a natural choice for this, and he wants to gun after Fauci. I think that is a legendarily good idea. Hey, kitty. Stan Vanderack, the problem with Puerto Rico is they have an independence referendum every 5 years. The good side is that California would lose a district. Well, no, the problem is that with their referendums, the parties that oppose simply don't vote, and so there are never enough votes to actually count the referendum. They have unofficially petitioned to join the United States. It's clear that if you had a yes or no question there, do you want to be either independent, you're just your own nation, or do you want to become a U.S. state? They would petition for statehood. I think it'd be 60-40 easily. They have so far avoided having such a referendum, although they have talked to Congress about it. Aussies Robots, YouTube's midterm censorship's been fully engaged. Oh, it has? It's news to me. Miku Huntu 4xBot, push back on anti-Trump when you appear on Timcast. I would like to grill him a little bit on a little bit of the vague Trump derangement syndrome that he suffers. I like the dude, but we do disagree on a few major issues. I think we agree totally on guns, though. Next news story, Greta Thunberg sees her climate book as a new type of activism. No, it's not, Greta. It's called craptivism. It's been around for a very long time. Greta Thunberg is a NIMBYist. She's living the life, traveling around, usually using fossil fuel in the process. Now she's got a book out that'll make her a lot of money. What kind of energy source do you think goes into processing the paper and the ink and compiling the book and transiting copies of those books to bookstores? Oh, that's right. It happens to be diesel and gasoline and to an extent natural gas. People like Greta Thunberg don't get any respect for me. Here's the problem. NIMBYism is you pay somebody to plant trees. Real environmental activism is you plant fucking trees. Go out into the fucking Swedish forest and find a bare spot and plant some saplings. Plant some pine trees. Reduce. You know, instead of buying your kale smoothies and every time there's a plastic bottle generated, why don't you take a glass bottle and grow your own kale and make your own kale smoothies? Be the change you want to see in the world. The biggest problem with this world is people have these grand sweeping ideas and don't want to do anything to accomplish them. So instead they give governments or corporations power to do it for them. And it always gets misused, that power that they're giving to them. You're talking about, well, fossil fuel is a big problem, but you're doing it while you're in an airplane that's using fossil fuel or a train or something like that. Even if you're using, like, let's say you have a solar powered tram or something, where did the lithium come for the solar panels in the battery system? Fossil fuel was used to extract it. Where did the aluminum in the skeleton of the tram itself come from? What was it mined with? It was mined with heavy equipment that uses fossil fuel. When they put the iron ore through the rock crusher, it's not powered by solar panels. There is no Tesla rock crusher so far. Maybe Elon Musk will brand it at some point. That sounds great, but it's not there right now. The fact is, it's NIMBYism. She gets a pass by being young and impressionable, I suppose. I think she's like 19 or something. I'm willing to judge her a little bit less because she's 19 and has a mental disability. But my goodness, there are a lot of people that are 50, 60 years old that say the same fucking shit. And they're willing to sell you books about all of their wonderful opinions about how to recycle more, how to clean up the oceans, how to grow more avocados, preferably without exploitative labor in Mexico. That way, maybe your avocado toast at Starbucks, it'll only cost $4 instead of whatever the hell price it is now. Luciferum, support your local First Amendment auditor. Texas P12, what do you think is the occult in Eyes Wide Shut is? I don't think it has to do much with the occult, at least not the real occult. It has to do with the weird and wonky ways of bored people that are seeking to give themselves a thrill with spirit cooking and shit like that. BW, Puerto Rico would hand Democrats a permanent majority. No, it wouldn't. No. Neither did the admission of any other state. People have always had those problems. And now we'll get to a few polls. I should probably refresh that, though, first. Oh, we have Billy Howard on Rumble. In light of David Icke being called a terrorist and banned from the Netherlands, do you think they will allow you back or deported for wrongthink? Well, I mean, I oppose David Icke generally because I consider him to be a charlatan and money grubber. I think our views are not quite in line with one another. Not a big fan of him, or Henry Macau and all these other fucking morons. Basically like the white version of Al Sharpton to a point with people like David Duke, too. Isn't his site filled with ads for like converting your car to run on water and, stupid shit like that? Anyway, we'll get to some polls. We have Georgia Senate, Georgia gubernatorial, Pennsylvania Senate, Pennsylvania gubernatorial, Arizona Senate, Arizona gubernatorial. And we'll also look at DeSantis just to see how fucking funny that is. And of course, Biden's job approval. Biden's job approval has gone down right before the midterms. His gap is now approaching 13 points. This is really goddamn bad because what he's at right now is slightly higher in disapproval, not approval, but disapproval, beyond the old ceiling. This shows me that he has a new ceiling and he's lost permanently some of that support. And they happen to be left-wing voters. Those youth voters that are turning out in record numbers, I hate to tell all the people out there who are Democratic Party members, but they ain't all voting for the Democratic Party. It's going to be very, very interesting. You're going to have a revelation on Election Day. And then we have Walker v. Warnock. We got a couple new polls. Remington coming in, showing Walker ahead by 4. Marist showing a tie. Again, Walker still has a slight advantage over Warnock, the incumbent Democrat. I favor Walker to win at this point, but it's like a 60-40. I'll need one last round of polling right before midterms, but it's very, very close. There might be some honking in Georgia. However, that takes us into the second polling, which is Kemp v. Abrams. We've got several new polls there. Kemp up by 7, according to WXIA, up by 14, according to Remington, and up by 8, according to Marist. His new total is 8.1. That's the gap between him and Stacey Abrams. Kemp will win. There are not enough, printers to go brrr in order for that to be overcome. It's well beyond statistic. It's well beyond the margin of error. It's more than 8 points. Kemp will win. To be clear, Stacey Abrams has been written off, by the way, by the Democratic Party. They've already made COPE articles about this. Then we have Pennsylvania Senate, Oz v. Fetterman. Fetterman and Oz are basically tied at this point. Fetterman has a 0.2 advantage. In the last polls, we have Trafalgar saying Oz at +2, Remington, Oz +3, Marist, Fetterman +6, Susquehanna, Oz +1, Emerson, Oz +1, and USA Today, Fetterman +2. It is as close as you can possibly goddamn get. In a tie, I think, unfortunately, Fetterman wins because of fortification in the state of Pennsylvania. But anything can happen in the last round of polling because the one that shows Fetterman +6 does look like an outlier. It may be off the mark. In the gubernatorial race there, though, it is safe to predict that Josh Shapiro will win. Unfortunately, Mastriano doesn't really have a chance. The Republicans pulled out of helping fund him quite early. He's more than 10 points behind. Again, you need a double-digit swing towards the GOP for Mastriano to win. I hate to tell you this, but the next Pennsylvania governor will be a Democrat. Then we have the AZ Senate, Masters versus Kelly. That has narrowed considerably. Again, Masters has the chance. The incumbent Mark Kelly only leads by 1.3, and the latest by insider advantage shows a tie there. It is effectively a 50-50 game. But in Arizona, you've had mostly defortification. It is possible for Blake Masters to take the Arizona Senate seat. I think it's 60-40 in favor of the Dems, again, unless you have a big last-minute surge. But it is possible. Unlike some other races, it's feasible. And in the AZ gubernatorial challenge, Kari Lake is 1.5 points ahead of her rival. The latest polls, insider advantage, Lake +3. Remington, Lake +3. Marist, Hobbs +1, and Fox News, Lake +1. This will probably be held by the Republicans. I think Kari Lake has an 80% chance of winning here. And finally, just for shits and giggles, we're going to look at the massive gap that DeSantis has opened up against his rival, who still pretends that there is a path to victory on Twitter on a regular basis. DeSantis is now leading by almost 12 points in the aggregate. The last round of polling, you have 5 of them. DeSantis +10, 12, 12, 14, and 11. Leading by double digits in every aggregated poll. Christ is barely averaging in the low 40s right now. To be clear, Christ is below 42 in the aggregate, and DeSantis is pushing 55. Dark World XL. I got into an argument with a climate activist, and I made them look stupid by showing their carbon impact is much higher than me. I live in a trailer that runs completely on solar. Nice. I would like to have a solar system. I mean, in the case of a storm, you have a home battery system. You can drain energy off of it and keep a couple lights on at least. Jack Perry, Razor Fist and Sticks are the same stream and different outfits. I would be excited, but how are the conspiracy theories going to explain this away? Infotunes. Yeah, Infotunes will definitely have to cover that. The Southern V, Sticks, it's the same people that say we need to give natives their land back. Start with your own house and leave other people alone. I support eliminating the reservation system in favor of just giving land and money to the people that are on there. Dissolve the reservation councils, their own police, the casinos, all that horseshit. Take the land, parcel it up, and say, look, you get 1,000 acres of fucking land here. Just give it to them directly. Get rid of the centralized process. Okay, you want to get, I mean, it's their reservation. You have pledged that land to them. So it's not a form of reparations. They already have it. Just give it to the people directly. Don't give it all to the goddamn casino owners. Michael Cricklow, 47% of Puerto Ricans who oppose statehood. I believe it is lower than that. However, usually you have a tri-ballot. So you have 3 possible outcomes. Statehood, becoming your own nation, or continuing the colonial question. If you were to eliminate that third possibility, I have no doubt that they would vote for statehood. By the way, please, no more super chats. I've got other things to do in a bit. Mr. Wonderful, just the cost of replacing every flag ever is not worth the cost of admitting Puerto Rico. You don't need to do that. It doesn't matter. Sparky, Puerto Rico becoming a state might temporarily help libs or dems, but their new status would soon make them conservative. Yeah, once the investment pours in, if properly managed, you'd see a goddamn wave. It'd probably look like a Reagan youth or something. Next, Ronald Reagan happens to be a Puerto Rican. The Swamp Cleaner, there will be a blood moon lunar eclipse on election night. Yeah, good times ahead. Quatrina VR, Clinton, 8-year-old me told mom, I don't like that man. Yeah, I didn't necessarily like him. I just figured that he would win. And compared to Herbert Walker Bush, who puked on the Japanese prime minister after having too much sushi, Clinton was technically an improvement. I mean, when you've got a 1 out of 10 presidency under Herbert Walker, the 3 out of 10 you can ascribe to Clinton. It's a pretty poor presidency, but it wasn't a complete failure. There were a couple of redeeming qualities. Yes, Bill Clinton was better than Herbert Walker and better than W that came after him. Just like Obama was better than W. I give him an extra point. I'll give Obama a 2. I'll give W a fucking 0.5. Hey, you didn't choke on that pretzel. I'll give you half a point for that out of pity. Manuel Retrego, just catched the end tail. Yeah, I think that I'm going to go off now because I've got a few other things to do. Keep in mind, again, itinerary for the next few days. No live stream on the weekend. Possibly a short stream on Monday. I'm not sure. I will probably be resting up that day. I'm going to take an extended vacation to play Fallout. Then I do the live stream for the midterm starting roughly 8 a.m. Eastern time. 8 p.m., obviously, Eastern time on election day. Go for 4 or 5 hours with Sleazy and our guests. And then I'm conking out. I'm going to pass out first. Then I'm going to pamper myself in the bath, order a goddamn pizza, and play Fallout until I pass out again. I'm taking a day off after the midterms. I'm going to need it. That's about all. Peace out.